Should we do it? Should we do it? Oh,
oh God. I'm not going to do that.
A pathetic attempt, but trying our best there. But by God, he did it. Dustin Wolf's first NHL shutout, a 29-save performance against the Nashville Predators. Undoubtedly, Calgary's star of the game in a 2-0 victory at the Saddle Dome. Crazy night where the saves truly outweighed the very few goals we saw.
Dustin Wolf, I mean, he's pretty incredible. He is pretty incredible. I haven't seen this sort of performance by a Flames rookie in a very long time, especially not by a goaltender. It is something that the Flames have been missing for an extremely long period. I mean, we saw Mike Vernon on the broadcast on Prime the other night. You know, you haven't seen a Flames goalie look this good, this consistently, who they drafted since, I think, the days of number 30. And holy moly, Cami. He was by far their best player tonight. He's been their best player for a lot of games in which he's played this season, and he just keeps getting better.
Finally rewarded for his efforts, especially it seems cool that it came against the team where UC Saros is the person that Dustin Wolf is always going to get compared to just because he is a little bit of a smaller goaltender. But he seems so comfortable out there now. He doesn't look like a smaller goaltender. He just looks cool as a friggin' cucumber out there.
I was just amazed at how quickly he kept recovering after really difficult chances by Nashville. And he was so quick to get back on his feet. He was so quick to get square. I mean, we've got all sorts of different clips that we can show you, but ultimately, I mean, that one at the end of the game where he made that first save, then the puck goes to the crease, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, Nashville, they're going to score here. And Wolf's back on his feet in what felt like, you know, a blink of an eye. And it was unbelievable just to see how unshakable he was.
And he's taking all kinds of contact out there too. And he's not necessarily a goalie where, like, you could see Jacob Markstrom get heated. He'd mix it up with guys. He wasn't afraid to shove you back. And Dustin Wolf just doesn't care that you're there.
Can you imagine?
He doesn't even know what planet you're from.
Can you imagine Dustin Wolf having like a Mike Smith argument with his own defenseman? Like, can you imagine even what the circumstances would need to be, the order of operations to get to that point where he would get to get to near blows with one of his own defense? No, that's just not the kind of player he is. He's such a unflappable goaltender. And, you know, he takes a ton of abuse, you know, just by the nature of being so small. I mean, he's 6 feet. He doesn't look small anymore. He didn't look small tonight. Everything that was sent his way, if he had even, you know, a half a second to see it, he wasn't even giving up a rebound. It was just unbelievable how quickly he adapted to everything that was thrown his way. And I don't know what it means for the Flames team in the near future or the long-term future that they already have a goaltender who I think is a star.
It means they're going to have a chance every night, even if goals are hard to come by, which has been a running theme this season. But now we've got 24 shutouts at the WHL level for Dustin Wolf, 11 at the AHL level, first of hopefully many at the NHL level. And you could just tell how bad the Flames wanted that for him after twice having that first shutout opportunity squandered. You go back to, I think it was only 17 saves he had to make against San Jose at the end of last season, gets scored on with 18 seconds left. Far and away the best player in the LA game the other night. And it looked like he made the save, and that had to go down to a controversial video review. Yeah. But you could see they were really doing everything they could in the last minute of that game to, you know, block the puck, try to force a turnover, just get it to the other end of the ice.
It was kind of a funny thing with Wolf because I watched basically every game he played in his first full year of pro. And he didn't have any shutouts that year either. It was just a weird scenario where he had a .924 save percentage. The Wranglers, or actually, sorry, it was the Stockton Heat back then, ended up playing the Chicago Wolves in a battle that we knew would never be replicated again between one of the AHL's oldest and most storied franchises and one of the run-of-the-mill California teams that ended up being disbanded. But yeah, he led them that far. But that year he did not have a shutout. In fact, I think he had AHL playoff shutouts before he had AHL regular season shutouts. And then, of course, once he got his first one with the Wranglers the following year, he ended up with 7 that year in his sophomore pro season, in which he had a .932 save percentage, and ended up being named not just the AHL's top goaltender, but also the AHL's most valuable player. And, you know, it's sort of a similar thing here. You know, first year with the Flames, gets a spot duty, 17 games, some growing pains. This year doesn't take him very long at all to get his first NHL shutout. We're middle of November, and I have a feeling we're going to be seeing some more, because Wolf reminds me a lot, watching him now, of that goaltender that he was with the Wranglers, and even, leading the Heat to the third round of the playoffs that year. He does not look like he's missed a beat, and he's jumped up a whole league's worth of competition.
That's 9 of his last 12 games at home that he's won. 6-2-1 on the season. Now, I don't know that we have the updated numbers on what that does to
his save
percentage.
Yeah,
here we go. It's up to 921 save percentage on the season. 2.53 goals against average. Pretty good.
Well, and 921 means a lot more today than it used to. I mean, it goes both ways. People talking about, McDavid, McKinnon, Kucherov putting up these crazy statistical seasons. Well, part of that is because scoring is way up. And the average save percentage in the NHL, it's come a long way down since, when it was, okay, if you have a 910, you're an average goalie. I mean, I remember when the Flames got Brian Elliott, and he had a 910 in his season with the Flames, and everybody was sort of saying, this guy is the definition of average with the Flames. Well, right now the average save percentage in the NHL is about 900. So it's gone down by about 10 percentage points there. And then you got Dustin Wolf at 921. That says a lot. That speaks big volumes. And it just goes to show, I mean, when he's been playing, with very few exceptions, he's given the Flames not just a chance to win, a real, I think, favored chance to win.
Let's take a gander at some of those, some of the most impressive saves out of that almost 30 that he stopped tonight. I think we're going to start with the double breakaway. Yeah. This was like a rare misstep by Mackenzie Weegar, where just stank giveaway. Awful.
Yeah.
Rude. Uncouth. So Cole Smith gets on the breakaway. He gets stopped by Wolf, but you have old Nyquist following behind him, and he has time and he has space, but Wolf just kicks out the leg to stop him. That was highlight of the...
Puck still makes it out. Nashville will change up a few.
From here, I mean, Cole Smith taking advantage. Maybe not the most dangerous player in a breakaway. Matt Coronato does a very good job on the back check, disrupting him, but just Nyquist ends up being sort of uncovered at the foot of the crease. And this is what
Calgary Flames do not think that we are not going to address how awful those power plays were tonight, but I think they actually allowed more dangerous chances than chances they got on the man advantage.
We'll get to the 5-on-3 at some point, but in any event, Dustin Wolf, I mean, he can do the splits like nobody else. I mean, he can do the splits like an Olympic gymnast. I mean, he's just unbelievably dexterous and agile in that crease. And to stop a guy in Gus Nyquist, who's as wily a goal scorer as you can find in a lot of these teams, that's a lot of skill. That's a lot of patience, and Wolf didn't blink.
Next highlight we're going to go to comes from the second period. Highway robbery, larceny, whatever word you want to use, on Steven Stamkos. And he actually got an ovation, I hear, at the Dome for this one. So Carrier throws it on net. Wolf stops the first shot and just slides to his right to stop Stamkos. And what I know is he doesn't even give him room. There's not even an option to elevate the puck. There's just nowhere for one of the most dangerous goal scorers in the modern game.
Yeah, he puts his whole body in front of it. I mean, it is unbelievably impressive. Steven Stamkos, who, can remember every single one of his goals that he's ever scored by memory. Gilby Ross, and showed him something on the other end that I don't know if he's seen much of in his own career. 6-foot goaltender flying around in his crease like he's Dominik Hasek. It was genuinely so cool to see. And Stamkos, a guy who has scored 60 goals in a season, but getting shown up by a goalie in his 27th NHL game, that was a pretty incredible moment.
I think the next really good save I had on my list was when Sissons made that pass from behind the net, and Nyquist was behind the net and Sissons was the one crashing the net. I don't know if that's the next one we have, but hey, if we have another Wolf highlight, let's just roll it and experience the moment.
There was that great sequence too, because there was the great save in the Flames end, and then it goes down the other way, and Jonathan Huberdeau, who again has been shooting the puck a lot better than he has been in his Flames tenure. This is sort of the sequence, I think, here. Huberdeau comes down on a 2-on-1, and I really liked seeing him shoot. I really like seeing him not look to force a pass over Connor Zary on this play, because I think that would have failed. This game is tied up at zeros. Could have very easily been 1-0 there. Would have been Huberdeau's team leading 7th of the season, but ends up just getting beaten by the post. But that doesn't even have a chance to come to fruition if Dustin doesn't make the first save.
No, absolutely wild. And one thing I wanted to bring up, and I think it has to be more front of mind for people not even in Calgary, but around the NHL right now. Earlier this week, Pinder said that Dustin Wolf should be in the Calder conversation for Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, I no question.
No question.
If he's not already, I mean, what are you doing? I mean, who are you talking about? Like, that's the thing. It's, you got Matvei Michkov, who's been great in Philadelphia, very much power play focused on his offense so far. After that, I go to sort of Logan Stankoven, who's been amazing, and then Dustin Wolf. And it's like all three of those guys, I would not be surprised if those three are the finalists. And, I like all the three of those players. Stankoven's incredible. Michkov's got amazing skill. But Wolf has single-handedly won this team some games.
And if we may offer up a crumb of context, since the 1936-37 season, 16 goalies have won the Calder. 9 of them are now in the Hockey Hall of Fame. And only 3 players, none of which are in the Hockey Hall of Fame, have won Rookie of the Year in the 21st century.
Yeah, only 3 goaltenders since 2000, 2001.
Yeah,
one
so
of them really good.
Huh?
Yeah, go for it.
I mean, NHL, you don't get to say, I don't know that we can say any of them suck.
No, none of them were bad, but one of them was like a real superstar for a while there. The other 2 kind of fizzled out a little bit.
One was an all-star. One was an all-star. Our most recent goaltender to win Rookie of the Year was Steve Mason with Columbus in 08-09. Then we got to go back to Mr. Andrew Raycroft with Boston in 03-04.
Very good TV analyst.
And then the turn of the millennium, Evgeny Nabokov in 2001.
Yeah.
So how do Dustin stats stack up against them? Honestly, it's pretty similar, other than obviously we have a much smaller sample size with Dustin Wolf. Mason was like 33, 20 and 7, 229 goals against average, 916 save percentage. Raycroft, 29, 18, 9, 205 GAA, 926 save percentage. And then Nabokov, 32, 21, 7, 2.19 goals against, 915 save percentage. So again, just the reminder there, Dustin Wolf is now at 253 goals against average, 921 save percentage. I would also argue that Wolf does not have as much run support in front of him when you look at some of the elite talent that was on those other teams. Like, we're talking about a Columbus team that, maybe just squeaked into playoffs, but you still have you have Rick the Thrill Nash there in his prime. Like Raycroft with Boston, that's a murderer's row. I think they were one of the top teams in their division that year. San Jose certainly was.
Yes. And I mean, something else to consider is that Evgeny Nabokov was already I think 26 years old when he won the Calder. He was about to turn 26. He was a 1979 or 75 birth date, and he was drafted in 1994. Now, he was actually drafted just 5 spots after where Wolf was picked in his respective year. He was drafted 219th overall, and same height. They're both 6 feet tall. And of course,
did Nabokov go to the draft though?
I have no idea if Nabokov went to the draft. He probably did. I don't know. He was Kazakh. He played for the World Juniors and stuff. But it took him a while. He had some time, playing for the Kentucky Thoroughblades. Great name. The Kentucky Thoroughbreds. No, the Thoroughblades. That's such a good name. And he was a bit of a slow starter too. His first year in the AHL, he had an 872 save percentage. That was at the same age that Wolf was winning AHL MVP. So it's okay. And, San Jose, bit of a goalie factory. They churn out Kiprasov and Toskala around the same time. Calgary, very much not that. But yeah, no, it's a very interesting comparable, especially when you consider, Wolf, a lot's been made about him looking up to Jonathan Quick, a small goalie who played in California. Well, Nabokov was kind of, in a lot of ways, the preeminent Jonathan Quick, being that small athletic goaltender. And actually, from closer to where Wolf grew up, playing, San Jose. Wolf born not that far outside of San Jose. So kind of an interesting comparable, sort of fun to see. And hey, Nabokov actually ended up scoring a goal in his NHL career too. That'd be fun to see Wolf do something like that at some point.
He's had a bunch of assists. I mean, we've even seen that, the LA game. He had an assist. Yeah.
He's looking confident. He looks really confident playing the puck. He's made a lot of good plays with the puck.
Oh, he looks very calm with the puck. Every now and then I get a little bit nervous. Like there was one point tonight where there were 2 Preds on him, and I'm like, this is going to be his Jacob Markstrom, Roberto Luongo, Marc-Andre Fleury, just gaff moment where you turn it over and they've got a yawning cage to shoot it into. But no, he's fine. Gets out of trouble, plays it off the boards.
He's outstanding. He is looking like a foundational piece to me. And I wasn't sure coming into this year, what the upside necessarily would be, whether or not he would be enough to prevent the Flames from maybe bottoming out. And I don't know if that's going to be the case, but right now he's winning them games. And whether that's the be all, the end all, whether this lasts, whether it is good in the long term. I mean, I know there are going to be Flames fans watching this who are going to be like, okay, Dustin Wolf is going to result in the Flames losing their own first round pick. And I think there is an element to that. I will say,
oh no, their special teams will take them down.
Their special teams will take them down at some point.
Out.
I also think at a certain point, you go down to it. It's such a bad outcome in the end, that if they give up their first round pick, that's not what you want to see. At the same time, if there was ever a draft year to do it, this might be it. I'm just going to say it right up front because there's good players in this draft. But if it was 2026 or 2027, when you got some of those WHL superstars who you're talking about, Landon DuPont for Everett, Gavin McKenna for the Medicine Hat Tigers. I mean, those would be the names that I'd be more worried about missing out on. Now, who knows? It's so far out in the future, but if they do end up losing their first round pick this year, there are worse possible outcomes.
Shameless plug time. If anyone wants to watch Landon DuPont play for free, we just launched Wednesday night in the dub. Every Wednesday, it'll be 2 teams that have top NHL prospects, current NHL prospects, or future draft eligibles. Games are free to stream either on WHL Live or just rolling over to the YouTube channel. But next week is Lethbridge at Everett. So that's Landon DuPont, that's Carter Baird, that's Julius Miettinen. And then, of course, Lethbridge has Noah Chadwick, who's a huge Toronto Maple Leafs prospect, Miguel Marcus, who's a Predators prospect. So check that out. But to celebrate Dustin Wolf, you know where the best place to celebrate Dustin Wolf is?
What's that, Cami?
That's at Richmond's Pub, the new home away from home for Barn Burner, serving up delicious Barn Burner Blonde from Origin Brewing all day at a special low price, just for you. Great food, daily specials. Yeah, did you like that?
Cami with the ASMR. Whoa, I think the chat's gonna like that.
Jeez, Richmond's is ready for game day, and so are we. And they've got the November Football Experience Grand Prize going right now. So that's flights, hotels, $500 cash, and tickets to the December 9th game between the Bengals and Cowboys in Dallas. The Stars also outscored the Cowboys again this week.
That's Jerry Jones.
That's twice thus far, shooter.
I think people were talking about the big fight tonight. I think Jerry Jones was there. I don't care.
I saw that in the chat, and I was immediately like, someone's like, that staged ass fight. And I'm like, Pahal?
Yeah, Braden Pahal. Yeah. I mean, it was hey, I don't think he threw any punches, so I don't know.
A little scrap.
Who did he fight again? It was McCarron. That's right.
Yeah.
I always forget that guy. I can't, first round pick, I think 20 years ago.
A big boy.
Big boy.
But anyway, every Thursday, head over to Richmond's during Thursday Night Football. Every night, or every Thursday, I should say, one name is going to be drawn and go into the grand prize pot. And then in early December, date TBD, the grand prize draw will go. But you got to be in attendance to win. So come on, gang. Get on over there.
Big meetup, I think. FlamesNation thing of Burn Burner, Afterburner, December the 3rd, I think.
December the 3rd. Yep, the guys are going to be there.
There you go.
I'm going to try to get out to that one too.
I'll try to be there. To be there. Yeah, I think they might check my ID.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah. A couple. I'll be there in a couple of years.
You're like a few girls I play hockey with where they are so sweet, but I don't know how old they are.
Yeah.
And every now and then I ask them questions where I'm not trying to be rude, but I want to figure it out.
I'll be turning 40 next week.
Drop the skincare routine.
But
literally one of the girls, that's nice.
Yeah.
But I was asking one of the girls, she was saying my boyfriend has to do some homework tonight. He's not here. And I'm like, so is that for university? Is that for high school?
Is that for pre-kindergarten?
It'd be impressive if that girl was yeah.
I don't know. Is that for remedial French? Well, taking your master's degree?
All right, you want to talk about goals first, or do you want to rip this power play apart first?
I think we should start with the negatives and work our way up. Yeah.
All right. Okay, the power play. Stunk.
Oh, so bad. I mean, it's at the point where I would almost rather put Daniil Miromanov on it. It's just what what's going on here? That 5-on-3 was genuinely abysmal, and I'm not entirely sure what the culprit is. I think they were trying to play it way too safe in some respects. Just the stagnant performance here. I mean, look, they're
They have
barely
the
even moving.
yips.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know. And it's tough because I like this unit on paper. I do. I like it on paper, but it was not working at all. I don't know if they're just so new to each other, but there was nothing happening cross ice. They were just trying to funnel it to Sharangovich at the left point. Don't hate it on paper. He's got a great shot, but they were very predictable. They were just difficult to watch, not inspiring really. I mean, they were given a couple of gifts on platters. Nashville couldn't clear it, and I don't even really, I'm seeing people in the chat saying it was Huberdeau's fault. I don't even think it was Huberdeau's fault by himself. It was everybody. It was
everybody's
it was
fault.
just, Huberdeau had some giveaways, sure. Uyghur had some giveaways. It was just, I just thought it was a complete unit collective catastrophe.
I don't even think it's a lack of talent here. You saw players who were having otherwise very good games who just seem to be gripping their stick and missing passes and not even being able to corral the puck on a pass that honestly isn't very hard. You're not under pressure, and it's just a huge struggle bus. And they're still getting some grace from the stats because they take the whole season into account, and they looked pretty good in that 4-game win streak to start the season. But I looked at it, and not counting tonight, it will be worse after that game. From October 20th on, they had the worst power play in the league, humming along at 6.5%. So it's almost certainly under 6% after that.
Yeah, no, it was just terrible. And it wasn't even on just this power play. They had other power plays that they looked pretty inert on. And it's a big reason why, you look at it and Anderson's the only guy on the team who's on pace for 50 points. It's because the power play is just not working. It's weird in the sense of you see teams that are propped up by their PDO, and that's, a statistic that is save percentage plus shooting percentage. And if you're over 100, you're generally getting a little lucky. And I think the Flames are getting a little lucky so far this season. I mean, I don't necessarily think they are good enough on paper to be third place in the Pacific Division. I think they're, maybe better than some outsiders give them credit for, but I don't necessarily know if they're a better team than some of the teams that are below them in the standings. But unusually, they're doing this while having a very low team shooting percentage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at guys on this team, I think Sharangovich's on-ice shooting percentage at this point is like 3%. Kuzmenko can't buy a goal. You got guys like Kadri who have fallen a bit off the
Zary
map.
can't buy a goal
Zary
either.
can't buy a goal.
And he's probably the most deserving person on the team.
And yet they're still grinding out these wins, and really it comes down to their goaltending. And it goes Wolf and Vladar.
It's bizarre to me that you have a night where the team can be booed during a 1 minute 57 5-on-3, or if it's 57 or 47. Either way, too long.
Yeah.
Too long on a 5-on-3. You get booed, and people are still cheering at the other end for Dustin Wolf, keeping them in there.
It was bizarre.
It was so bad. During one of the intermissions, I rewatched a YouTube video of a fully functioning power play. And one thing I realized that I have not heard any announcer say during a Flames power play in some time, they never reference the defenders looking tired, even if they spend the whole time in the O-zone. Like, that was a 5-on-3 for almost 2 full minutes. Did Nashville look tired at any point? They got one change.
No. Well, you look at it.
They look like they're having a picnic out there.
The Flames are literally, quite literally, the opposite of pretty much every other team in the league right now, where scoring is up, shooting is up, and saves are down. And you look at it, the Flames have one of the worst shooting percentages in the league right now, and their save percentages at the top. It is just they are playing in 2011 while the rest of the league is playing in 2025, and it's working. And I don't know if it's necessarily sustainable, but it is something that, on a night like tonight, quite frankly, did not lend itself to a particularly entertaining game. I will just be quite upfront. They won, so people are happy, but tonight's game was kind of garbo from an entertainment standpoint.
I was pretty unentertained until the third period. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, even for half the third period, I thought, they kind of ramped it up, sort of in the back half. But at the same time, that was mostly Nashville getting chances. And Wolf making saves.
Also, jump scare still every time I see Marchessault in a Predators jersey.
Yeah, kind of weird. Yeah, and he looks dangerous. He's just 2 teams tonight that just can't get any shooting percentage. And it resulted in a game in which one goal was scored against a goaltender, and the other one was scored into an empty net, and it kind of resulted in visual NyQuil.
But like they also kind of got lucky that Wolf was playing so good, because this is also a Nashville team that just played against Edmonton and didn't like the way they lost against Edmonton.
And they're not going to like the way they lost tonight.
No, and they didn't look great off the hop. And I thought we were in for more at the start of the first period, just because it really looked like Calgary was going with a throw everything on the net type of mentality. And I find as the game went on, it felt like they were getting away from that. It was where they were starting to do too much. It was like, oh my God, Backlund, why are you passing through 3 people when you have an open lane? Just shoot it. Just shoot it. Keep it simple, stupid. And then they got rewarded with a nice clean play off a faceoff. Ooh, Kadri wins a faceoff. Weegar passes it over to Miromanov, the nice open defenseman. And look at that. You get a game-winning goal.
I've really
Keep it simple.
Yeah, I've really liked Daniil Miromanov of late. I think he deserves some praise because his last few games have been really strong. I think, both from just my own watching the game, but also the underlying numbers have been very good for Miromanov since he was reunited with Mackenzie Weegar. And I think these top 2 pairings are working quite well. I've liked Kevin Ball with Rasmus Andersson. And I think, for all the fans, and I was with them for a period of time to start the season, who have sort of been clamoring for the Miromanov experiment to end. I don't know. I think he's been a little bit better than that of late. And I thought he was rewarded. I really liked his game against Montreal when he had a number of really good scoring chances. And tonight, I thought he was good leading up to the goal. I think he's gotten better as the year has progressed at maintaining his position in the defensive zone. Jumps into the playoff, the faceoff, scores the game-winning goal. Good for him.
Grease Lightning. Let's take a look at that one.
Daniil, where you at, man?
Partner Rasmus Andersson.
I love how they didn't.
You said that like you were welcoming him to the podcast.
He should be welcome to the podcast. He's a good personality. I like how it was right off the face-off, and they didn't even have the score clock up. And Miromanov's, going to the bench. He was just like, yes, I did. I scored. I want to be one of the best defensemen in the NHL. Wasn't that one of his big quote after he came over? He was like, I've got the skill to be like one of the best defensemen in the NHL. I just love that self-confidence from anybody. It's great.
You know what? Honestly, Lord, give me the confidence of any man who thinks that he can take over the world.
Hey,
I would love that.
I'm just all for it. I love these personalities, and Miromanov's got a personality.
Yeah, that is actually very true. I remember he was like that in Bathurst as well.
He was like, I need the opportunity and I will become one of the best, one of the greatest players in the league. And it's like, you know what? You do you, man. I'm excited for you. And you know what? Lately, I don't know if he's been one of the best players in the league, but he's gotten back to the point where I would say he looks like an NHL player every night.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that was our one goal. We'll talk about the other one just because we probably should. I know it's an empty netter, but Blake Coleman had a couple doo-doo plays tonight.
Yeah.
But then he kind of redeemed himself. He had a big shot block at the end, and he followed it up with the empty netter, and he forced a Marchessault turnover in neutral ice. And with this one, this is going to mark 24 of Calgary's 47 goals this season coming in the third period.
Yeah, I mean,
don't go for that exit just yet, folks.
No,
you gotta stay right to the end.
They're not the find away Flames, but they're something. They're doing something here. Yeah, Blake Coleman's had a really rough go for a lot of this season so far, and it's tough because he was so good last year, and I just think he's sort of struggled to keep pace at various points. Don't know what's going on there, but I'm sure he'll pick it up. But yeah, just sometimes all you need is just one of those pucks to go in. Doesn't matter if there's a goalie there or not. And that sort of sealed the deal.
And then funny that we're not really getting to him until now, because Connor Zary was the biggest storyline heading into tonight with the move to center. They had tried Pospisil, they had tried Sharangovich, and it really just wasn't working, and it was taking away from their strengths as wingers. So we get our first taste of Zary there. I really thought he was driving play. The face-off stats don't look like they don't jump off the page at the end of the day, but this is his first NHL game truly at the position. He's at 47%. What was good, he won 6 of his 8 face-offs in the O-zone.
Yeah,
that's a very nice starting point. Neutral and defense.
To me, I only really care about face-offs if you win them, because generally speaking, there's no true correlation between winning faceoffs and, possession, and like you get the possession off the faceoff, but it really evens out. So there's the big ones.
That is where a fair amount of Calgary's goals have come from this season.
It is true. They got the goal right off the faceoff in the offensive zone. I'm not saying that nothing good ever comes out of winning faceoffs. I'm just saying in the long term, a team that's good at faceoffs doesn't necessarily turn out to be the best team. But for winning faceoffs, if you can do it, it's undeniably a good thing. It's like if you're not good at winning faceoffs, I'm not sure if that automatically doesn't make you a good center. It's just like I think it's a valuable thing.
It doesn't, maybe it wouldn't reflect on him as a center, but I don't think we can say that faceoffs don't matter unless you're good at them, because Calgary, I think it was the Utah game, had two goals that were directly results of losing faceoffs in the D zone. So we can't discount how important they are.
Fine. I'll give you this.
But Coronato, he also had a good game. Zary, not jumping off the page necessarily, just in terms of face-off stats, but he looked quite comfortable at that position and trying to make things happen. He was, again, really driving a lot of the play, a lot of the creative play, and he just wasn't rewarded on the score sheet for that tonight.
Yeah, I thought he was the best member of his line. I thought his line had some ups and downs at even strength. But ultimately, when it comes down to it, I didn't think he looked out of place at center. I mean, really, the notion of players playing center after a face-off, when you're going through the rush, when you're coming back, at a certain point, guys get mishmashed all over the ice. Even if you start the shift at center, you're not necessarily going to be playing down the middle all the time. But I thought he did a really good job of being responsible coming back and holding to his spot in the middle of the ice when he needed to. And ultimately, I think he's a center. He was drafted as a center. And I'm glad that the Flames are finally sort of getting him to this point, because for the long run, they need centers. That's really what they need.
Absolutely. And you've seen zero reason to take him off the position. Let him buck. Let him buck.
Well, who else do you have? Yeah, that's the thing, right?
I know they've tried everyone else.
What are you going to put Walker Duehr at center? Like they're kind of running out of options here. So you need a guy who you draft at center who has, I think, all the skill set to be a natural center in the NHL, to be a good one at that. Even if he's not the most dynamic guy, I see no reason why Zary shouldn't be able to be, at the very minimum, kind of like a JG Pajot guy down the middle. And at most, I'd hope for a lot more than that. I think he's got the offensive upside on a consistent basis. If he can just start getting some of these to go in, I think he could be a very good number 2, maybe even a borderline number 1.
Ooh.
Borderline number
high praise.
I liked him a lot in his draft.
Maybe a number 1 on a Calgary team and number 2 on a contender team.
Yeah, like I was saying sort of with another buddy of mine the other night. Like I think with Zary and Coronato, you're looking at guys who I think project maybe as your 3-4 forwards on a very good team. So, borderline first line. And, when you look at the best Flames teams that we've seen over the last little while, you have 4 really elite forwards all producing at the same time in Gaudreau, Tkachuk, Monahan, Lindholm, and gives you that depth where you can either have 3 of them on one line or you can have 2 pairs of 2. And it just gives you that ability to attack your opponent in waves. When it comes down to it, I could see Zary and Coronato being that second pair of forwards with a third player with them, but the Flames just need to find that one too.
Sorry, the comments just spoiled the outcome of that fight. I don't even like watching fights, and I'm not happy with the way this went.
Jake Paul is winning.
Is that the one that boxed? I
don't know. I don't trust anybody with 2 first names. So Jake Paul. I don't know. Isn't he like a weird guy? I think he is.
I think both of those brothers suck. They have young fans who they actively try to scam with crypto.
I think we should maybe not talk about those 2 guys on our
Boo hiss is all I'll say about it.
I'll try the ASMR stuff. Jake Paul sucks. He sucks so bad. I don't know. Is that anything?
I mean, it did make the hairs on the back of my neck stand up.
Oh, there we go.
There was I didn't say it was in a good way, Mike.
Okay, all right.
There was another defenseman that you really liked tonight.
Yeah, I mean, which one?
I mean, Pahal was one of them.
Yes, I did like Braden Pahal. I liked all their defensemen tonight. I mean, that's the thing. You can say that, but it doesn't really narrow it down for me, because on most nights, I really like all 6 of the Flames defensemen. Like I think right now, this configuration of 6 that they have is the optimal configuration. And that's not disrespect to Tyson Barrie, who I think has been good, and even to Joel Hanley, who is there. But right now, I don't know why Jake Bean was sidelined for so long. I don't know if he was dealing with something like a nagging injury or something, because I think when it comes down to it, having him as your number 3 left-handed defenseman, I think he does everything he needs to do in that role. And I think Braden Pahal, that fight, I mean, we can pull that one up too, because kind of a funny play, throws a big hit on, I think it was Zachary.
I don't know though. It was funny. I was like,
Oh.
I know he's a big guy, but it was like, ooh, that
Yeah,
looks a
well,
little high. I know he's not leaving his feet or anything.
At first, yeah, like I wasn't sure. In real time, like Zachary Leroux, I thought maybe his head got, I don't think it did, watching from ice level. I think it was mostly shoulder to shoulder. But in any event, Pahal bites off a little bit more he can chew here. I think McCarron's 6'5", 6'6". And but hey, I mean, Leroux is the kind of player who was surprised didn't try to stand up for himself. I mean, he's a real tough customer. You look in his American League stats, I think.
Well, he was already over it. He went on and continued to play. That was exactly. A teammate trying to stick up for a young guy on his team.
Exactly. So I like seeing Pahal get involved in that way. I think he's again been rock steady. I've been saying this all year long. I think he's a great young defenseman for this Flames team, who they didn't have to give up anything except for the little waiver fee to get from Vegas. Think about $25,000. That's it. I think you're happy paying that.
Yeah. And then Kevin Ball, I've honestly really liked him all season long. I think he's been more than what we expected.
Yeah, big time.
Yeah, he had some good takeaways tonight. He's eating up tons of ice time. And man, like when you see teams try to break away, wow, he can close that gap quickly.
The main defender people have been dissatisfied this year with is Miromanov, and I think he's been good. And so when it comes down to it, if Miromanov,
it was not good at the start, Miromanov has really turned a corner for this season.
He's been good lately, I should say. He was not good to start, and I was a huge proponent of his when he came over from Vegas. I watched him a lot with Henderson. I really liked the player, and he was great to finish last season. And he started really rough. And I think the last 5-6 games, he's come along in a big, big way. And with that happening, I think the Flames have a very solid, maybe not necessarily like a playoff contender caliber, but a very solid, I think, for where they are, defensive group.
KQ, I don't know if you're joking, but if you are trying to go to Morocco, go to Morocco.
Yeah, do it, buddy.
It's amazing.
Do it.
Yeah.
Sure.
I loved Morocco.
Yeah. Take a car. I don't think you can do that. And you just jump in. It'd be a long drive. I don't know. We're just riffing here.
Right.
Friday night. Friday show.
Friday night, and Mike is feeling good, folks. In case you couldn't tell.
I'm feeling great. We're just going. We're going live. What do we got next?
Anything you want to get to before we touch on the road ahead?
I don't think so. Other just
another Huberto post. Come to Wolves Tires. The point of near explosion.
We kind of got everything. It's not really the
masticated the power play.
Yeah, exactly. Masticate, like chewed on?
Chewed it up and spat it out.
Yeah. That's a good word. It's a good word.
All right. Well, then let's take a look at what's ahead. We'll take a look at the next 5 games on the schedule here. Tonight was the first of a 4-game homestand. Next up, we got the Isles on Tuesday. They're coming off a 2-day break after playing the Kraken in Seattle. They're not the sexiest team in the world, those Islanders, but similar numbers to Calgary in terms of goals for, against, special teams. Their power play was actually worse than Calgary's coming into tonight. So let that sink in.
Yeah, and the Islanders are going to be without Matt Barzal. He's out for the foreseeable future, I think, for a few weeks here. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be tough for them. That's a player who I'd love the Flames to get their hands on at some point. But, hey, we'll see. If the Islanders end up blowing it up at some point, we'll just have to maybe. But in any event, yeah, that's going to be an interesting game, sort of not dissimilar to this one, I think, in terms of just its overall vibes to kind of.
Well, we want to talk about better vibes. I feel like it's always a barn burner when the Flames play the Rangers.
Yes.
I mean, we're going to get to see Adam Fox get booed. That's a fun thing that happens every now and then, a little treat for people at the Dome. But the Rangers are like the 3rd highest scoring team. They've allowed the 2nd fewest goals. They'll have a day off after playing the Canucks. So the last time they faced each other, that was a Shesterkin shutout. It was also a 2-0 game. And they're always just high intensity. Like we saw Kadri and
the Kadri Trouba hit.
Yep. The Trouba train go at it. Good goalie battles over the year. Last year was post Lindholm trade, but pre Tanev and Hanifin. That was actually like Kuzmenko's 4th game with Calgary.
A weird vestibule.
Right? What an odd spot in time. Yeah. But anyway, after that, we got a matinee Sunday versus Minnesota. Wild are second in the Central. They got some brutal news today with Matt Zuccarello. So he
Mhm.
was injured after blocking a shot in Montreal last night. He's shut down. He's having surgery, out for a few weeks. Brodin, Eriksson Ek day to day. Wild could be calling someone up for
Yeah.
Sunday, but I mean, Kaprizov compensates. Second in points in the NHL heading into tonight with 30. That'll close out the homestand. Ottawa Monday, Calgary's second Amazon Prime game. I did like a lot of things about the first one, but that'll be a fun watch. You got Brady, you got Drake Sanderson. Will be motivated after that brutal overtime loss earlier this week. And then we close it out with Detroit on Wednesday. Detroit's mid, but exciting players to watch. They've got like 4 guys in double-digit points now. Like DeBrincat, Raymond, Kane, Larkin. I think Siders right there, and Calgary has
Detroit. Yeah, I mean, you go down that list of teams, and I think you get sort of just increase or decrease as you go along in terms of opposing goaltender performance so far this season. So it should be interesting. You start with Sorokin and Shesterkin at the top. You go down a little bit to Philip Gustafson, who's been pretty good. Then you go Allmark's been, and then you get Red Wings, and it's like, okay, well, what's going to happen here? So it should be interesting. The Flames should be able to stay afloat if they, if their shooting percentage goes up, if, guys like Sharangovich start to finally convert. I mean, like the thing with Sharangovich, there have been guys who have been bemoaning, him, he's scoring at a 13-point pace. What's going on?
He's also coming off an injury.
And you watch this guy and he's shooting the puck like he's lights out. It's just, they're all getting stopped. Like this happens with goal scorers. This is how they work. You'll have a goal scorer who scores 7 goals in a week, and then he'll go a month without scoring. And that's sort of what separates the Austin Matthews is from the run-of-the-mill, which, if you can even call them run-of-the-mill, 30-goal scorers who, have their hot months and their cold months. But the thing with Sharangovich and guys like Zary and Kuzmenko that is encouraging to me is that they are still looking dangerous at various points. I mean, Kuzmenko maybe less so, but he's at his moments. But guys like Sharangovich and Zary, to me, look good.
I don't worry about Sharangovich.
Not at all.
I know Huberdeau and Kuzmenko catch a lot of flack if they're not getting points because they can be liabilities other times with the puck, or if they don't have the puck. But I don't have that concern with Sharangovich.
I don't either.
It's just he's close.
I think
he'll
be
get
fine.
there.
Sharangovich is kind of like Coleman to me, where it's like, this guy is struggling a little bit maybe right now, but at the same time, I feel like if you put Blake Coleman on the Dallas Stars, he'd be probably point a game. Like maybe not point a game, but close. And it's just and he'd be doing all the things that makes Blake Coleman such a good player. And he'd just be in the right spot to shine. And I think Yegor is better suited in Calgary for the now and the future than maybe a guy like Coleman is. And I think he looks better. I think he looks better suited to this current, environment. And I think he'll come along.
We're going to thank our friend Milk for a strong comment there. Put a lot of effort into it. 2%. He brought up someone that we briefly skimmed over earlier, but didn't talk that much about. Matt Coronato had a very good game.
I think we are homogenized on our opinion on this player, and that he had an excellent game, and that he's
smell what you're stepping in.
There you go. Yeah. 2 pints of eggnog for me. There we go. he's been really good. I mean, I keep saying about Coronato. I was wanting more from him every time I watched him when he was first turning pro, and these last 2 weeks. I have nothing to do with it, with him progressing, but just seeing him do exactly what I was sort of saying in terms of he needs to get a little bit stronger. And all of a sudden he's gone from, I think, losing the majority of his puck battles to winning the majority of his puck battles.
He had the most ice time of any forward on the Flames tonight, and the most ice time he's had point blank any game this season.
The most of
almost 20 minutes. Yep.
Holy moly.
1948.
And he was out there with the net empty. He was, he is not being treated with kids' gloves. He is not being put on the Backlund line as like a water or a life preserver. He's not being taken off in the high leverage moments, which you sometimes see with these kids being ushered in on the Backlund line, where they'll just, slot back in the old wily veteran. No, he's been there, and he's been there all the time. The other thing that Milk is pointing out again, he's keeping his feet moving, and he's gotten a lot quicker. And that was the thing where when he first came in, I thought he looked slow a little bit, and I thought he looked a little weak at times. And now I think he looks fast, and I think he looks strong. And those are two things that he really needs to keep up.
Beautiful. That's Coronato. That's our road ahead. You had a chance to look at. Oh, Jesus, I shouldn't have read that in the chat. You had to take a look at Bet365. What's going on there?
Oh dear, I saw what you saw. Yeah, Bet365. Yeah, we took a look just at a game that's coming up tomorrow. It's a game between the valiant Toronto Maple Leafs and the dastardly Edmonton Oilers. Those two teams going head-to-head tomorrow evening. The Oilers slightly favored, it looks like, in this one. And, well, sure, whatever. I think the Connor McDavid anytime goal, now that he's got his 1,000 points, I don't know. I think it might be a little bit lower. Although maybe, now that he's got his pressure, all the pressure off of him to get to that milestone, maybe he'll just keep scoring. I don't know. Don't really care. But anyway, that's
you have to admit the T-shirts were funny.
The T-shirts were funny. I think they were Leon Draisaitl's idea. He sent them out.
Prime meme fodder.
Yeah, I laughed at that for a second, and then I went back to my typical Oilers state, which is not caring. So, in any event, there is your Bet365 bet of the day. We'll just talk about that for a second. Cami, just your thoughts just on Oilers versus Leafs tomorrow.
It is a game that is on the NHL schedule, and it will happen.
Yeah, that is Bet365. Use the promo code NATION. Was at the top of your screen there. Promo code NATION with Bet365.
Right there, gang.
Anything else? I think...
Any thoughts, questions, concerns, anything we need to get to, friends? Can someone explain to me why there are so many Grease references in the chat tonight?
I can't. I can say that whatever the sport...
Well, I wasn't asking you, Michael.
Well, Michael. Wow. Camilla?
No. Close.
Cami?
Yes.
There you go.
But no one says it like that. They say Camille. So now
Camille.
it's just Cami.
What about chamomile?
That's a nickname I got a lot.
I bet.
Yeah.
I got a lot of Goldilocks.
A
lot of it. It's not my favorite. Anyway, I forgot to say, the people out there should know that whatever the moment, whatever the sport and whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. You should know that. And
now we do.
You know that, but you should know that. So now you know that.
All right.
Yeah.
Zary. No one is singing anything tonight.
No.
Thank you very much.
We already sort of broke a couple of windows in here with the old awoo.
Yeah, that was hard enough. I know, like, legit, like, our band, like, when we started, the guys used to think, like, okay, like, we're gonna do a Fleetwood Mac song, like, Cami, you can sing that one. And I would try, and they're like, okay, you can do the yaz in the background.
I hate to admit this on camera, but I briefly went to the Royal Conservatory of Music as a vocalist.
Really? What did you sing?
Oh, a lot of German, a lot of like old standards, like German and
like
and
what?
French and I couldn't.
No, say a song name. Otherwise, I'm going to assume you're talking about like Frère Jacques or Je suis un pizza.
No. There was like one. There was one in German that was titled Frühlingslied, and there was one in Italian that was Je la notte s'avvicina. Yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot. You had to. The big thing was the vowels. That was the big thing. So the accented U, which you have to sort of say it as an E, but with the U as the shape.
You have to sing something now.
You have to go like E. That was the vowel. As like
that's the same sound I made watching the power play tonight.
That's very good. There you go.
Are you gonna? Can you sing us a bar?
No, I'm not gonna do that. Maybe on my birthday.
Or okay, on December 3rd.
There you go.
If you come to Richmond's, will you sing there?
Yes, there you go. That is your reason to come. December 3rd. Come to Richmond's. I will sing it. I will sing to you in German if you come to Richmond's, and I'll buy you a drink.
Will you wear some lederhosen too?
No, I will, and I will not wear what Mike Tyson was wearing tonight. That was the one thing that we saw.
Yeah,
look it up. Look up what Mike Tyson was wearing tonight.
You don't. Who doesn't have leather assless?
Just make sure your significant other isn't near you,
or make sure you're cheeked up.
Yeah.
Eat your collard greens, folks.
That was disturbing. That was genuinely disturbing.
Oh, I thought it was hilarious.
It was funny. It was very funny, but it was disturbing.
Ooh, karaoke night at Richmond's. Yes, you can sing.
I'm in.
You can sing your German standards. I will fumble my way through Butterfly by Crazy Town, and we will all have an excellent night.
Sounds great. Do we have got any questions?
Yeah.
Anything good? Let's see what we got here. What's your this is a good one for you.
Oh gosh, this is going way back. I was in a couple of different bands. a couple of our guitarists have passed away now, so I actually haven't played. We haven't all played together for a very long time, so now I kind of just play at home. My prized possession, my favorite possession in the world, is my bass that belonged to my late friend Nick, and it is my favorite thing in the world. He was an incredible singer. I remember the first time I ever heard him sing, it was "Fallen Leaves" by Billy Talent.
Oh,
yeah, he
yeah.
was so good. So miss him very much.
I bet.
But
yeah. I was in the Western Canada High School grade 12 wind ensemble. That was a great band.
I played flute because I wanted to learn a Jethro Tull song.
I was percussion. I hit a lot of things with the sticks and the mallets.
That was for kids with behavioral issues.
Oh,
as next? We all know.
Got anything else?
Yeah, one more.
So you got it.
Will Rasmus be a Flame next year? That depends. Who is willing to overpay at the deadline?
Yeah. I mean, I don't really know. It's sort of a tough one, right? Because the market for defensemen is going to be very interesting. There are teams that are going to want him, but he makes sense to more than just the contending teams. And I don't know if it's going to be sort of a player for player type deal. If like, that's the thing that makes Anderson so interesting, is that I think the market for him is going to be like 20 plus teams. If that ends up coming to fruition, because you go down the list, which teams don't need a Rasmus Anderson, because you're
at
not
that price.
Yeah.
That is a Black Friday bargain, folks.
We're not talking about 34-year-old Jacob Markstrom. Like, it's not something like that. It is, and even then, I think a lot of the league wanted Jacob Markstrom. But when it comes down to it, a right-handed defenseman who can play defense, who can score, it's something to really consider for a lot of these front offices.
Beautiful. I think, should we leave it at that? It is, they are no longer a pack of hyenas. They are now the wolf pack. Thanks for joining us, folks.
Have a great night.
I'll talk to you soon.